controversy or bad book controversy, I try not to get into it. Mainly because I mostly do my book reviews on Goodreads and on here sometimes, and my opinion is just like, what's really important is that your book is horrible, you know? I don't like Hush Hush and Fall and all the other books because I think, like, on top of them being poorly written, they have very problematic content. And that content is dangerous because it's consumed by an age group that isn't always aware of what's problematic about that literature. Not to say that all young adults are stupid, because they're not. They can be very aware of things, but also at that age you do not get a well-rounded enough knowledge to really understand why certain things are dangerous, which is why I get so outraged at books like Hush Hush, because adults and older people are writing these books and they should be more aware of these things. But then again, you look at our culture and how that perpetuates so many myths and stigmas about what it means to be in a relationship and what the perfect man, what the perfect woman is. You know, we endorse slut shaming in everything that we do. You know, we endorse this idea of, you know, the dominant alpha male thing all the time. And so those things are very important to speak against. And one other thing I talk about a lot on here is racism, because, you know, that comes up. And recently I heard about this book, Save the Pearl, and the backlash against it and the controversy around it. And, you know, at first I was just like, you know, I want to stay away from it. I don't want to be interested in it. I don't want to talk about it. I just don't. But then I started seeing some people who were trying to support this piece of work, and I thought, let me look into this. Let me see what this is about. Because one person on my Goodreads had given it like 3 stars, and I was like, okay, let's see what's going on here. And so I looked at the book, I read the synopsis, and then there was a PDF that linked to the first chapter of this novel. And within reading that book, I felt so offended by the material that I had to just get rid of it automatically. And then I looked at how they were promoting the book, and they're using blackface to promote the book. And I just thought to myself, like, who thought this was a good idea? Basically, the concept of this book is that, like, whites are the minority, and they're not powerful, black people are, and the entire book demonizes black people to lift up this white protagonist named Eden. Oh, what an iconic name, Garden of Eden, pure and everything. And black people are seen as more attractive, and because she's white, she's not seen as attractive, and so she needs to find a mate because she will die at 40 and, you know, that kind of shit. And so she puts on blackface to get with her love interest named Jamal, and later he turns into a panther and all kind of shit, but I did not get that far. So if anyone comes, first of all, let me just do this. If anyone comes and is like, you didn't read the whole book, how can you judge? I read the first chapter of that book, and that was enough to tell me that this book was A, not targeted towards me, B, completely inadequate what it was trying to do, and 3, so offensive that I had no intention of trying to finish it at all. I could not do it. But so she puts on blackface to become more attractive so she can mate and all that kind of stuff. And in the first chapter, you see her making very derogatory statements against the black people who are called coals. Like, this is what I don't understand. So these terms, apparently, like, there's cotton is for albinos, and, you know, there's pearl for white people, and there's coal for black people. And what I'm getting from this is that, like, the black people made up these terms for things, but I'm just wondering, why would black people call themselves coals? I mean, with all of the gems, like, you know, we don't call this obsidian or onyx or anything like that. We're like, we're coal and you guys are pearls, because, you know, it must be so hard to be called a precious gem. That's the most offensive thing I've ever heard. Like, the world building is just horrible on top of that. Like, the blackface videos, what you see is, while black people are supposed to be beautiful or whatever, it's like not anything about our features. Like, the girl is wearing, it has, like, on blackface, but she's got, like, perfect straight hair. So it's just like, so again, it's this whole not too black thing. She's appropriate looking because she still has white features. I mean, like, it's just blackface. It's not going to transform you. And it's just like, I don't understand why she felt she had to go about it this way, because she demonizes one group to look at this other group to talk about how racism is bad. It's just like, do you really need to do that? Because there's this book series called Knots and Cross by another writer. I think her name is Marjorie Black. I forget her last name. But she did this exact same concept where she reversed the races and, you know, the whites and blacks. And she didn't feel a need to demonize one group or the other, because when you talk about racism, you know, it's something that we all know is wrong, and we can all understand why it's wrong. And sometimes people need to have stuff flipped around to figure stuff out. Even though I think that even that sometimes is problematic, because sometimes the equivalencies aren't the same. Let me get the official synopsis so I can just read this to you. Okay. So this is what the synopsis says. Eden Newman must mate before her 18th birthday in 6 months, or she'll be left outside to die in a burning world. But who will pick up her mate option when she is cursed with white skin and a tragically low mate rate of 15%? In a post-apocalyptic totalitarian underground world where class and beauty are defined by resistance to an overheated environment, Eden's coloring brands her as a member of the lowest class, a weak and ugly Pearl. Why is Pearl... That doesn't make sense for... Alright. Just maybe one Cole sees the real Eden and will be her salvation. Her co-worker, Jamal, has begun secretly dating her, but when Eden unwittingly compromises her father's secret biological experiment, she finds herself in the eye of a storm and thrown into the last area of the rainforest, a strange and dangerous land. Eden must fight to save her father, who may be humanity's last hope, while standing up to a powerful beast man she believes is her enemy, despite her overwhelming attraction. Eden must change to survive, but only if she can redefine her ideas of beauty and of love with a little help from her adopted aunt, Emily Dickinson. It's just like, it's just a ridiculous thing. Because first of all, this whole about an overheated world, and like that's why black skin is good. First of all, black people can get sunburned. What the hell is this idea that we don't burn? This will not protect me from solar radiation. Like, that's like Science 101. I don't understand. Like, everyone keeps thinking of this. They're like, black people don't need to wear sunscreen. Yes, we do. I have to wear sunscreen all the time. Otherwise, I get darker. I have discoloration for a reason. I mean, Jesus. So, this whole idea is just, it's fucked up. That's what it is. And the people are sometimes saying, but there's a good concept behind this, and it could be interesting. But it's written in a completely derogatory way. Just read the first chapter, which you can find online. It's completely ignorant. Because she's trying to talk about racism and classism and beauty ideals while completely ignoring why those ideals happen in the first place, why those things are considered beautiful. Like, so just all of a sudden everyone's like, black people are beautiful, fuck every other race. Because that's the way it works in real life. Even in our society that has a more Eurocentric view of beauty, we still like what we quote unquote call the exotic. There's still different layers to what people view as beautiful. There's a reason why people always talk about how mixed race children are so superior looking, because they have the best of both worlds, you know? So it's like, this idea is based on nonsense. Nonsense science and nonsense ideas of what racism is, what class and beauty are made up of. It's just bullshit. And it's bullshit hidden behind this woman who I'm sure had the best intentions when she was writing this idea, but when you read it, you just think to yourself, you didn't look this over while you were talking about it. You didn't look it over and think of all the stereotypes that you are reinforcing with these concepts. And you know, there are some times where people don't understand the stereotypes that they're talking about when it comes to minorities. Because that's why sometimes I will forgive writers who make certain racial stereotypes. Because one, if I hate every writer who has racial stereotypes in his work, I'll hate most of them. But two, because a lot of times people don't see them as, you know, bad things. Not everyone understands why the magical Negro is a negative thing, and why people don't like that, and why people don't embrace the idea of having a magical Negro, because on the surface, it seems like they're friendly, they're helpful, you know, they're kind, they have powers. What could be wrong with that? So people don't often understand why, and while ignorance is not something that we should just excuse, you know, it is something that I feel like it takes people longer to understand why certain things are offensive, because they aren't so blatantly so. But this is so blatantly offensive. It's like, I know people who have read the whole book and tell me it doesn't get better. And what I've heard of it doesn't get better. And I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to rate it. I'm not going to do anything to it. I'm just telling you what I think of it from what I hear about the synopsis. And you know what? I feel like my anger comes from the fact that it is vanity published. It wasn't published by an actual publishing agency, probably because they realized this is a really ridiculous idea. But I just feel like this idea could have been done well. It could have been done really nuancedly. I mean, people have used metaphors to deal with racism since forever. And while I don't think all those metaphors necessarily work because they kind of miss the whole point, of racism and inequality and things like that when they add in like supernatural or magical creatures into it. But at the same time, there are ways to do it. There are ways to handle that and have really interesting parallels. Hell, you can even do the race flipping thing and make a decent story, you know. And I'm not just saying that just because she's a white woman that she, you know, fucked it up initially. I've read a book about a black woman, not the one I was talking about before, but another black woman who wrote an idea kind of similar towards it, and I still didn't think that she really did a good job because I felt like some of the things that she was kind of like flipping over didn't really make sense. I didn't think like it was really done that well. So it's not even a racial thing because she's a white woman, she just did wrong. No, it's a badly written story. It's an interesting concept that she just could not do. And, you know, I don't wish ill will towards the writer, even though I think, like, from what I've read about her and what she said, I'm sure she doesn't mean to be racist, but this is completely racist. And, you know, I won't fling the term at her simply because I don't know her, and I don't want to know her personally, but I just feel like this is fucked up. It's upsetting to realize that people still write these kind of materials and try to, like, people want to try to, like, have this kind of, like, yeah, this post-racial, colorblind, oompa loompa, la la la, Candyland society. I'm like, what world are you living in? What world are you coming from? Please tell me where it is. I would love to go over the rainbow and find out where you're coming from, where, you know, all that doesn't matter anymore. We can just be all free and easy. Because I want that. I want to be free and easy. I want to be able to just do whatever fuck I want and be not dealing with racism. Take me to that place. I want this post-racial society more than anybody. Oh, let's go there. Let's have it. That's not where we live in now. That is not our reality. And if you don't understand the reality of the situation now, if you don't understand how racism works in 2012, where it comes from, and how it affects people every single day, you have no business writing about racism. And that goes for any racial group. Like, you can be a white person and write about black people, racism, and class. You can. Look at The Wire. There's a book I'm reading now by Ben Aronovich, and he writes a mixed race lead, male lead character, and he's written very well. He gets it. And when you get it, you can write about it, and you can make it good, no matter what race you are. But if you don't get it, then you don't got it. And whatever you write becomes irrelevant because you don't see the big picture. You just see, like, what you think is the reality. It's there are no words. There literally are no words.